Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Routing Loop, weekly show where we talk about AWS networking, AWS security, sometimes AWS Edge as well. I have my guests with me today, Salman and Ankush. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in a second. So I'm the host. I'm Tom Adamski. You guys probably seen me in the previous shows. And today we have a very exciting topic that I guess affects a lot of customers because everyone has to troubleshoot. And it's going to be the DevOps agent. So, Salman, Ankush, do you guys want to introduce yourselves and kind of share what you do, what your roles are? Because I think it's exciting that you're sharing this because you guys spend a lot of time troubleshooting customer issues, right? Your specific role is related to looking around corners, making sure that the customers don't run into trouble, and then when they do, somehow you're solving their problems.
Right.
So, Salman, you want
Yeah,
to kick off?
sure. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, my name is Salman Ahmed. I'm a senior TAM, technical account manager. I work with enterprise customers, especially around these support issues that they face when they're working with AWS services. Yeah, and I'm based out of Dallas, and we're excited to show you the DevOps agent today.
Awesome.
Yep. Thank you so much, Salman. Hi, everyone. This is Ankush Goyal. I'm also a senior technical account manager based out of Dallas. And like Salman mentioned, I also work with enterprise support customers. And like Talk mentioned, yeah, this is one of the things where customer have a lot of issues, and I think DevOps agents gonna help them out to find out the root cause as early as possible. So yeah, looking forward to presenting this to you all today.
You want to share a bit more about what a technical account manager is? What does the role entail? Because we were chatting just before we went live, right? About Ankush, you having to put your beeper or your pager, your, your pager to quiet mode, right? Because you're 24/7 there supporting dedicated customers, right? Because there's a
Yeah.
support organization that you might be contacting when you're opening a support case, but you
Yeah.
guys are dedicated to a customer, right?
Yeah. So we all have one or few customer based on how big those are. We support them. So main it's kind of like this all is evolving now. Now, Tom. Earlier it used to be more kind of support related, but now it's more kind of going strategically helping them customer to grow in their business as well. But coming to the support, like whenever they have any critical issues, we TAMs try to join their call to help them out to make sure that business is up and running and come back to the normal operations as soon as possible. So customer might not see it, but behind the scene we do a lot of activities kind of reaching out to the service team, escalating to our leadership to make sure that we have the right people helping them out to resolve those issues.
Yeah, when I get pulled to customer conversations, I usually find out that the TAMs know the most about what's going on in the customer environment. So,
Right. Because TAMs we take care of their operations, so we know about their environment, about their workloads, what all issues they might have, happened in the past. So yeah, we do have pretty good visibility on their currently running workloads.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So I'm excited about the session. I think we only have an hour, so I'm gonna we can jump straight to it. Ankush,
Right.
I think you're kicking off, right?
Yes. Thank you, Tom. So before I start this, Tom, I just want to ask a question from our viewers as well, and as well as from you that when you last time you had any issue, maybe with one of your customer or maybe in your past experience, how much time it would have taken or it took to kind of resolve it, at least to find out what's or why this issue happened, to find out the root cause.
Yeah, I think it depends on the issue. I'm trying to think what's the one I've had recently. There's one I'm still working on. So I had some challenges with one customer where we couldn't figure out why, you know, they're not being able to split one of the IP address ranges in IPAM. So it's an ongoing discussion, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it. I feel like the challenge I've heard from customers sometimes is even if they do run into an issue and they do need to open a support case, it still takes time before the support case gets open. And then the first thing that the support engineer is going to say is, hey, can I get some information about what's going on? Give me captures, give me
Mhm.
outputs from any analysis you've done so far.
Right.
So I think if you can solve your problem in half an hour or 40 minutes, that's pretty decent these days, no?
No, that's yeah. I completely agree, and that's where the DevOps agent comes into the picture. It helps you to kind of reduce your MTTR, mean time to resolve, by finding out the root cause within few minutes instead of spending those kind of 30, 40 minutes or maybe hours, right? So let's dive into this, and if we have another comments from our viewers or something, you can take it while we go through this presentation. So I'm going to start with because at Amazon we always start with from the customer and work backwards. So we're going to talk about that why AWS created this product, what are the customer challenges we had, and then we're going to talk about what this DevOps agent, what are the different capabilities, and then Salman is going to give a quick demo on that. So, talking about the customer challenges, today our applications is spread across different environments. Like we have applications running within the AWS. There are a lot of customers who have multi-cloud as well, application running in Azure or different cloud provider, right? We have on-prem applications. Then on top of that, we have the different third-party service providers as well, and our applications are dependent on those third-party service providers as well. So we have that kind of connectivity, and then we distribute this application across microservices. So talking about a single workload, it has different or hundreds of different components connected to each other. And whenever the issue happened, isolating that particular issue within the application or within the workload, it became very tedious job. Second is the telemetry. So today we have logs, metrics, traces, core data, our deployment event. Lot of different stuffs are going on at different places, and all these logs are stored at different places and different systems. Now, when issue happened, manually correlating all those logs, finding out where the issue is, it just kind of slowing down the incident response. So, and it's getting difficult for a single person to find it out or to correlate everything together. And no single person can have expertise in all those different components. They might know about the portion of that particular ecosystem. So all in all, that whenever issue happened with all those complex environment distributed logs, it get very difficult for any engineer to come and find out the root cause. That's where the DevOps agent comes into the picture. And in addition to that, because of all this firefighting keep on happening in our environment, our teams nowadays is spending more and more times towards resolving these issues, and they are not getting any time to focus to kind of improve the resiliency or the reliability or the performance of our applications, because more time is going in finding out the root cause, doing those kind of stuff. So that's where the DevOps agent comes handy, and it will help you guys. Think about DevOps agent is kind of a one other team member who's sitting next to you guys, available 24/7, who never sleeps. So the moment any incident happen, yeah, that's right. It never sleeps. Whether it's at 2 a.m. or the middle of the night, the moment any incident happen, a DevOps agent will start working for you, and it will find out why that issue has happened.
Yeah, I know engineers that never sleep, but they get very tired. So the quality of the work drops down very
drops
significantly.
down. But yeah, but with DevOps agent, that human factor is not there. So it's kind of keep on working and find out why that issue has happened. And I'm gonna cover more on that. And it's not just finding out that why the issue has happened. It can also help you to prevent the future occurring events. So based on your past incidents, what has happened, and based on the current configuration, it correlates the data and find it out that, hey, these are the things you're missing in your environment, which can help you out to prevent this issue to occur in the future. And the third thing it does is that on-demand SRE task handling, means that we provide you the chatbot which answer any question you have about your environment. Like you may have a couple of Lambda functions which are running on a deprecated version. You can go and ask a question, hey, how many Lambdas and what are the Lambdas which are deprecated or running on a particular version, or those kind of questions about your environment, which normally you go to a particular team and they try to investigate and give you the answer. So now everything is right there within the DevOps agent. All right. So talking about how it helps you to kind of whenever that incident happened, the first thing is like you can integrate your DevOps agent with your wherever your alarms are configured, and these alarms can be configured within the CloudWatch. Some companies or organizations use that, or some use the third-party tools like ServiceNow or PagerDuty. So the moment any alarm triggered, DevOps agent will get triggered and start working for you. And like I mentioned, doesn't matter what time it trigger, it just kind of fires up the alarm. DevOps agent fires up the investigation. And when it's doing the investigating, it does the comprehensive or thorough analysis about all your telemetry, all the capability which you're provided to it, like the app applications check, the CI/CD pipeline, like it checks your GitHub and GitLabs. Like if you have connected to your Azure DevOps or Azure application, it can read the data from there as well. If you have connected your third-party observability tool like Dynatrace, Datadog, it checks all the logs from there as well. And while it's doing all those things, it also giving you the reasoning and how all the hypothesis, all the observation, that how it's coming to the conclusion of the root cause. So in the real time, you will see that it will tell you why I checked this, what all things I have checked, and then it will come to the conclusion. So based on how big your application is, it will check each and every component and then give you the complete root cause analysis. And based on that, you can find it out that why that issue is happening. And not just the root cause analysis, you can go one step further. You can also ask it to generate a mitigation plan, which will give you the step-by-step instruction that how you can mitigate or how you can resolve this issue in your environment. So if I say in one sentence that if your alarm trigger right now, your person get paged, they logged into the computer and they see an incident in front of you. But with the DevOps agent, instead of seeing an incident, they are seeing the root cause with a complete reasoning. So they are not spending the time to identify the root cause. They have the root cause in front of them. And then from there, they can just resolve that issue. So your overall mean time to resolve an issue, now maybe you're spending hour or 2 hours to reach to that level. Now it's drastically dropping to 30 to 40 minutes with DevOps agent.
Yeah, I feel like that's huge because I remember working in the networking operations team for like a South African bank, and I was doing on call, and it's those 3 a.m.s, 2 a.m.s, when
Right,
you wake up, you're still groggy, you don't know what's going on, and
right,
then you have to make sense out of all the alerts that came through and figure out what's the problem. And this, customers are impacted, there's an outage, and
right.
you're rushing, adrenaline hits you. So it's
True.
kind of nice to be able to, like, you wake up, you look at the screen, and the agent not only didn't sleep, it was actually reacting immediately to the alerts and was
Right.
able to give me like an initial analysis of what's going on.
True, true. And that's what it happened, because at the time when the issue happened, you are in tremendous pressure because the business is at risk and you want to resolve it as soon as possible. So that pressure plus human factor, yeah, DevOps agent will really help on those scenarios for sure. All right. So moving to the proactive incident prevention. So like I mentioned, it's not just giving you that if this issue happened. DevOps agent runs automatically weekly on the weekly basis. It checks your past 7 to 30 days incidents, and it checks your current configuration and give you that how you can improve your system. So it provides you recommendation around 4 categories like observability improvement. So if it identified that there's some critical metric which you should be monitoring or setting alarm, if that is missing based on your past incident, it will provide you recommendations around that. Second, it may happen that there are some infrastructure related issues happen in the past where with the traffic surge, your auto scaling group is not adding more EC2 instances. So there may be configuration issues there which you have not fixed it. So it will provide you the recommendation around that. And these are just providing some example. There could be more to it, right? Maybe you have a deployment pipeline. After deploying something, every time something is breaking, that means you might not be doing your testing properly, right? Maybe after some traffic spike, there are incidents which happen that the API is always giving an issue. That means you're not doing your testing properly. Or maybe your third-party applications which are connecting with the API, you're not having a code where you're doing a retry logic or something like that. So it will provide you the recommendation on this 4 category, which you can take it and do the analysis. And if you don't want, or there's some regions are there that you don't want to implement those recommendations, you can tell DevOps agent that these are the reasons I don't want to do it. So the next time it rerun that analysis, it takes those into consideration and don't give you the same recommendation again and again. And the next is like on-demand SRE task handling. Like I mentioned, that it's a chat bot which you're providing where you can ask questions like, hey, do I have any certificate which is about to expire next month or within few days? Like, or you can also talk or check about any configuration or infrastructure about your environment, or you can ask that what all type of alarms is fired within last 24 hours. So those kind of questions which can take time to investigate and do analysis, you can just ask this DevOps agent. It will provide you all the answers to you. Now, we understand that every organization does not have the same standards, or they have some tweak in the standards, the way they work it. Because DevOps agent, when it investigate, it follow a standard pattern to investigate it. And there may be some additional things you want to provide and tell DevOps agent, hey, whenever you start the investigation, take these things into the consideration. Or you may have that say that, hey, this is my architecture pattern which is a little bit tweaked from the standard, and this is the reason why we are doing it. So you can provide all those things to DevOps agent as part of the skills, and whenever the investigation happening, DevOps agent will take those skills into the consideration and then providing, hey, okay, these are the things I need to consider before giving the root cause analysis. So you can have your own custom skills and provide it to DevOps agent. Now, talking about the system overview, this is where the DevOps agent is lying. When you create it in a particular region, but DevOps agent has access to all the infrastructure, doesn't matter in which region you have created. So suppose you create in the US East one, it can also access the resources which are lying in a different region, maybe Asia Pacific region or EMEA regions or any other US regions. Then you can have integrations where you can integrate other capability like your ticketing systems, your observability tools, CI/CD pipeline, any custom MCP server, or your Azure connections. Now, behind the scene of the DevOps agent, you have different type of agent which are working, which are specialized for each task you perform. So DevOps agent is again kind of behind, is backed up by the different specialized agent which is performing each action separately. And from the triggering perspective, you can trigger this investigation manually, or you can use your third-party tools like you can create rules in your Dynatrace or ServiceNow or PagerDuty from where you can alert. Once the investigation is completed, you will get the thorough analysis that with the complete reasoning why this particular issue happened. It will provide you the step-by-step root cause and is hypothesis, observation, everything, and you can generate the mitigation plan from there. And if you need help, you can always open the support case with AWS and they can take it forward from there.
How about, so this is within a single account. How do I enable it across different accounts or
Right.
on my
So
organization?
yes, Tom. So we will show you in the when we go over the console walkthrough. When you set it up in your account. That's the primary account you created, and you create a role which give you access to all the AWS resources within that account. But if you want to bring on additional accounts, there is a option in there where you can add secondary accounts, and whatever account you want to bring in, you can do it. You just need to create a role in the separate account, secondary account, which this DevOps agent will assume to access all the resources.
Okay, so I don't have to deploy an agent in every account. I just
No,
deploy it
just
once and then give it capabilities to go for different
right,
accounts.
right, right. Yeah, so that's all we want to cover on the PPT side presentation. So I'll hand it over to Salman, who will give you a quick walkthrough.
Okay, so someone, I'm going to share your screen.
Sure.
Just stop this.
All right. All right. Thanks, Ankush. So let me give you an overview of the AWS DevOps agent within the AWS console. So let me go back. So right now I have an agent space created, and I'll show you. But the first thing you do is start by creating an agent space. You give it a name. There's multiple like different languages that are supported, right? And you have to give the agent space access to your AWS resources. So there's auto. You can let the roles to be created by itself, or you can create them yourself, but then you're asked to use certain templates, right? This is this controls what type of access the DevOps agent space will have in your account, and they're all read-only access. Just to make that clear, right? So I already have an agent space, but before I go there, let me show you the capability providers that some of the items were previously mentioned. So if you look, there's connectors, right, for various different providers. So you can connect this DevOps agent to the Azure cloud as a cloud provider, their own pipeline products like GitLab, GitHub. So when you click on register, it gives you the option and the information what you need to do on the other side to connect this DevOps agent in your account with those specific accounts. There's telemetry providers that are pre-built in. There's option for custom MCP server integration and for communication, right? So once like an investigation completes, you can kind of send that data into Slack or other communication products.
So Salman, there is a question kind of more broader about capabilities. I wonder if this is a good time to touch on it.
Sure.
So it's from the Lovarines. Can agent correlate infrastructure changes from IAC repositories with the observed network and application incident? So I guess, is it aware of the fact that there was a change made? Like, probably doesn't even matter if it's IAC or if it's a human meddling around, although that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah. So yeah, in the demo, we'll show you, because when I demo the DevOps agent working, I am intentionally kind of meddling around, right? Or mimicking a bad deployment, for example. One cool thing you'll see is DevOps agent can start to understand your pattern. So in terms of like any network changes, once you trigger and ask it like, why did this happen, it will look at your infrastructure changes. So whatever access it has. So by default, it has access to your AWS environment by making almost all the API calls within AWS. So any AWS service, right? But if you have other MCP servers or other pipelines through GitHub or GitLab connected, it can look at your deployment pipeline to see if it triggered that and was part of a root cause.
Nice. Okay, so it can correlate back to a change as long as I'm connected. I connect to GitHub as an MCP. Then I can get that correlation, or whatever is my pipeline. It needs to be able to like interrogate it. Otherwise, all it's going to tell me is there's been a change. Here's the latest thing that got changed. Here's the API call that created the change, but I don't know how it got implemented. Was it a human? Was it a pipeline?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that it checks your CloudWatch, CloudTrail logs as well. Yeah. So whatever whosoever makes those changes, like that will be logged, and that's where the DevOps agent gonna go and check and correlate things that, okay, this person has made the change.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah, when I was building the demo, I was like, man, you can pick up an intention of an engineer. Did they purposely do that? So you'll see that if I do something repeatedly, it knows that, hey, you keep doing this, like, and it even realized that I was causing a chaos, right? So so the more information over time, it will, from my understanding and my testing, I've seen it get more intelligent because it now knows your environment and the alarms that trigger, what type of investigation it does, and what type of correlation it has done. And the next time this thing happens, it kind of uses that as well to investigate further.
Or sends a Slack message to your manager saying, "What is going on? Why is this guy breaking prod?"
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks for that question. So these are the capability providers, and I think there were configuration. Private connection is something new we introduced. Do you want to cover that real quick? I know.
Yeah. So private connection. So we have a lot of applications which are running within our VPC, and those does not have any public connectivity. So One other example could be, suppose you have a Grafana, self-hosted Grafana running inside your VPC, and you want to give access to DevOps Agent to access that. So for that, you can create a private connection. So behind the scene or under the hood, what we do that we create a VPC lattice to create a connection, drop a ENI into your VPC, which create a connection with your Grafana or whatever application you have, and get access to it. So
Nice.
it's mostly kind of like creating a private connectivity or with your applications running, which are not accessible on public internet.
Okay, so private path to your resources inside of AWS, but
Right,
since it's lattice, I'm assuming you can also connect to on-premise, right? Because
right, right.
anywhere that you have a private path
Anyway,
established,
private path.
you're now
Right.
giving the agent the capability to talk to that.
True, true.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
So let's see. So let me go into my agent space that I have already created for this demo. And in their capabilities, like we were talking about, it automatically has my primary account that I have this deployed in. But then you can add other accounts like Ankush had mentioned and give it access. In telemetry and pipeline, again, if you have other providers connected, so what happens is in capability providers, you can register your capability, and then in agent space, you come and use those capabilities. So what if you want to have two capabilities used by one agent space, but then you have another agent space that uses a different capability? So that's why they're kind of separated out for you to pick and choose the capability that your agent space need. And there would be a need for you to have multiple agent spaces. Maybe one application has one agent space, and you have various different use cases on why you would do that, right? In our use case, I have a MCP server for packet capture that I have already registered. This packet capture MCP server is hosted on Agent Core runtime. It's an open source MCP server available on AWS samples. We just take that and host it, put a wrapper on it and host it on Agent Core runtime. So when I try to add it to my agent space, it's gonna connect and tell me all the tools this MCP server has available. Again, like in this agent space, I'm gonna onboard all the 29 tools, but you can pick and choose whatever tool this agent space would need.
Yeah, I guess as you said, that probably would be one reason why you might have different spaces, right? Because you don't want to overload your agent with too many tools, because you're just gonna
get slower.
Yeah.
Or
start hallucinating, or like you've fill up the context window much faster, right?
Correct. So what I did right now was connect the registered MCP server to my agent space. So next time if I run an investigation, the agent space will have that. So let me switch to let me see if I have anything else to share. I think we didn't cover this much, but do you want to go over this real quick, Ankush?
Yeah, so you like access is one of the thing which you want to control. Who can access your operator console, the web app. So you can integrate it with your IAM Identity Center, through which you can use any SAML like third-party SSO if you have. So from there you can control which engineers can access your operator access, who can run the investigations, who can see the investigation, all those stuff. So that can be covered by, or that can be controlled by your IAM Identity Center.
Great. So let me switch to my demo. So you guys can see this. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this is not part of the DevOps agent. It's a demo front end we have built to kind of mimic an application and have 6 scenarios that you can break and fix, right? So the 6 scenarios will go in detail, but we probably won't have the time to go in all of them. Before I start, I'm gonna break one of the scenarios, which is TLS SNI mismatch, where the PCAP would get used, right? So let me just show you the overview of the architecture. There's an EC2 instance that talks to an RDS instance. Users connect over the internet through an ALB to this instance. even EC2 instance itself has access to the internet. Then the EC2 instance can reach the S3 bucket through a gateway endpoint. It can reach other AWS services through like an interface endpoint, right? So this is all like internal connections. Right now, what I have done is broken the number 6 scenario. So broken in terms of like, for example, you as an operator or user had made a bad deployment, right? And in that deployment, there is a TLS or SNS or certificate issue. How would a DevOps agent investigate that? So right now, what's happening?
By the way, Saman, your demo environment is excellent. So, and I thank you for sharing that this is not part of the DevOps agent, because when I saw that, I was like, wow, I didn't know DevOps agent can do diagramming, because it's a really easy thing to follow as a demo. So awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So when I was learning and I was gonna show it to other customers, I thought having a visual representation of an environment and having the ability to mimic a real world use case is kind of helpful to kind of correlate the understanding of the DevOps agent.
And animated traffic flows all the way. I think if Jamie saw it, he would be very proud.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Tom. Let me go to the operator access. So to get to the operator access of the DevOps agent, you can get that from here. So I have it already open. Let me show you. So quickly show the left side. You can always chat with the DevOps agent directly and ask questions like Ankush was mentioning. What's happening right now is an alarm will trigger. And let me show the alarm pipeline, how that works. So an alarm would trigger, an SNS topic will receive it, give the information to the Lambda function. The Lambda function is configured to invoke the DevOps agent. And DevOps agent expects a payload in a specific way, which Lambda function contains, right?
So you're having to build your own integration. The DevOps agent doesn't natively like track your alerts. It needs to be triggered by a Lambda function that then provides the information from the alarm.
Yeah, so it's kept open on purpose. Like you can have any type of integration. So you don't have to redo all your alarms. You can probably, like in this method, you can point all of your alarms to the same SNS topic and this integration stays the same, right? Or you don't use CloudWatch alarms, you use other providers like Dynatrace or Datadog or something like that. And they can invoke it in the same way. They have this invoking capability built in to the DevOps agent.
I guess in reality, you can make the Lambda as an endpoint that's invocable directly from anywhere, right? So in theory, you could potentially use it as a target for anything that you want to, right?
Right, Tom. So there are two ways. Like in this one, we are using SNS to Lambda, but when you are doing the third party, in the DevOps agent under the capability, when you do it, it provides you the URL which you can directly take it to Dynatrace or so they have their own integration, kind of providing the webhook URL directly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you can do it from here as well. You can create your API gateway, put Lambda behind it, and then use that to configure as a webhook.
Okay. So for that first issue that you generated, there was an alarm obviously set for it. What was the alarm looking for? Were you like testing a path, or was the alarm triggered by like a custom? Was it a custom alarm, or was it anything like standard that you had set up for them?
With this demo, we tried to use just built-in capability. Let me go through the scenario. I think that will kind of answer the question you have. So the EC2 instance is reaching or connecting to the SQL database over port 3306. So when we broke this scenario, it pulled this from the security group, right? So let's go through that investigation from alarm 1. As you can see, when I broke that, the alarm 6 has fired, so we'll come back to it once it's done.
Okay, so alarm 1 because it was showing healthy, but we're just had
Yes.
we disabled alarm 1 here, you're showing now what's the process of what the DevOps agent is going through, but the actual real alarm that we just broke that we're going to come back to is number 6.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
These are the
Yeah.
past investigation which we already did it to save some time to show.
Yeah.
Got it. So this is like, here's the stuff we prepared for you earlier, so we don't have to wait for all these things to populate, but we still have one that we're actually cooking in the background.
Okay. Yep.
Correct. Yeah. So in terms of the topology, it automatically builds the topology. Hopefully, I can zoom in a little bit. So
we need to zoom in a little bit more on the diagram. I think that's like a little.
So,
yeah,
because that's within the that's within the. So it's pulling up all the resources. It knows that there's an internet gateway, NAT gateway, subnet, the private public subnets. It's pulling up everything it needs to do the investigation. So when the alarm was triggered, it knows that I have to start making use AWS calls. So this is a built-in function of the DevOps agent where it uses this use AWS and can run various different API calls. So in this one, you see it's describing the alarm, like why did this alarm go off, or what is the alarm?
So what was the alarm specifically?
So the alarm was that the data stopped flowing through on that port.
If you scroll down below, there's here you go. The metric information.
The metric. So the connectivity failure occurred because it went down to 0.
Okay, so this is an RDS alarm. I got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is a native alarm that RDS comes with. So you're tracking a metric that's then dropped to 0, and then you flagged an alarm on it. Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can also obviously have your custom alarms and have the same thing happening, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess for the custom alarms, the more information you can provide in the alarm, the better for the agent, right? Because if you give it more information, the more accurate it's going to be.
Right.
Yes.
So Tom is first kind of going to the CloudWatch or whatever alarm you have in Dynatrace somewhere, is fetching that information about the alarm, and from there it start investigating things.
Kind of like a human, exactly like a human.
Right.
Yeah. So after knowing the alarm, it knows that I have a clear picture of the architecture. I know which EC2 instance is failing to connect to the RDS. So it starts to look at the RDS status to see if something has happened with the RDS itself. It does describe DB instance. I'm not going to go in all of these different things, but anything native AWS API specific, it does that natively. It even pulls up the database details, gives it to the DevOps agent. It checks the EC2 instance status itself to see if anything happened to the EC2 instance, right? It checks the EC2 instance health. Then the cool thing is now it goes to the CloudTrail to see did some change happen, right?
Yep.
So it looks at the CloudTrail events. So typically, like this would be done manually. I think, from my experience, people will go check CloudTrail way later, right, on what happened, or it's a manual, tedious process of correlating an event with the CloudTrail and pulling those specific CloudTrail events.
Yeah. So it makes sense because we only had a single EC2 instance in an environment in an RDS database. The traffic dropped to 0. That triggered an alarm. So it goes and checks all the components involved in the communication, which is kind of what every one of us would do, like to check, hey, are the instances still actually trying to connect to the database? Are they still there and available? So it's doing those checks. And then you're saying it's looking at CloudTrail to see if there were any recent changes.
Yep. So it does identify that there was an infrastructure change just by looking at the CloudTrail, because that was the key giveaway for this incident, for it to understand what has happened, right? The system revoked 3306 on the security group. So now it understands that EC2 instance itself is healthy. And then I think it even says that RDS itself is functioning. We don't see any changes there, but then I see a a CloudTrail that shows me this behavior, right? I ran this in the other way. So what you will see other things in here is my other alarms building off. So I did other alarms in the previously, so it can see other changes I had made in the past. There's another incident or a scenario where a default route is revoked. So it kind of can read that and understand that in the past this has happened, now this is happening. And kind of give me both of those together. So the key findings was that the security group was revoked. So you see, like now it's kind of realizing, because I ran this alarm one scenario at the end. I ran the other scenarios before. So it identifies the same actor is doing these things, right? This is what I was telling you earlier. It tries to pick up your intent and kind of correlates who the operator is and what's happening. And it gives you the root cause. So it tells you like, hey, that's your root cause. You can click on this to get the root cause in more detail. And then you can generate a mitigation plan. So mitigation plan will tell you how to check how to prepare for this mitigation, how to validate it, and how to apply. So basically, it's telling me to add that port back into the security group. Right.
Neat.
So,
so I'm wondering, I don't know if we're going to even have time to do Alarm 2 if we want to give justice to your Alarm 6, which looks super interesting with that PCAP integration. So maybe we can jump to 6, or the one you literally just kicked off, and then if there's time, we can touch on some of the other ones.
Yeah. So Alarm 6, Alarm 6 was the TLS issue.
Oh, and then do you mind sharing what you've done and what was the alert looking for? What was the CloudWatch alarm?
Yeah, so the certificate, DNS poisoning, like what's happening is the TLS certificate gets a mismatch because instead, what's happened within the EC2 instance is I locally pointed it to its own IP. So when it tries to resolve the certificate, it has a certificate mismatch.
So you hijacked its DNS to point it back to itself instead of to the endpoint that it used to connect to. And then it still listens on port 443 but just responds with the wrong certificate.
Yeah.
And then what's the CloudWatch alert that you have set up for that? Is there...
Yeah, I can, I don't know if this will show you. I don't have it open. I can go to the CloudWatch alarm. I think it's gonna show us
that's
right
okay.
here.
Oh yeah, it's there.
Yeah. So yeah,
because I'm curious where you set it up. Where is it being monitored on? Is it an alarm that you set up on the endpoint, or I'm assuming it's not on the endpoint because otherwise you wouldn't get a TLS error.
It's on the EC2 instance in terms of its outbound connectivity.
Okay.
So it's capturing that data through the NAT gateway, right? The health check EC2 instance. Yeah. So just in terms of time, the reason this use case looks different is because it needs more than the native AWS tools, right? It doesn't know the TLS information by default because that is like available in a packet capture, which the tool is doing on its own and putting it in an S3 bucket. So
where is it executing the packet capture on? So did you have to give it access to the OS or is it doing...
It's running it in the EC2 instance itself. So this scenario is doing a packet capture beforehand and afterwards during the breakage of like a bad deployment, for example.
So this is a TCP dump on the OS. It's not traffic mirroring, right?
No. Yeah. We kept it simple right now. It's just within the taking the packet capture of the EC2 instance itself and storing it into a S3 bucket.
Got it. So this is okay. So this is a pre-captured information. You didn't have the agent to run the capture or execute the capture.
No. So sorry, you're going to say something, Akash?
No. Good.
Yeah. So the agent itself is capturing this data. So you can have the traffic mirroring and putting it in a specific place, and give your DevOps agent access to the PCAP location. So it can, right now in this demo scenario, it's doing everything all in one place. But yeah, in a real world use case, you'll probably store this um, in a central repository and then use AWS service like traffic mirroring and kind of capture it
Got it.
off of the side.
But I'm trying to understand how you're telling the agent about the PCAP, or are you having the
Oh,
agent execute the
so
PCAP?
so I didn't tell the agent about the PCAP. I gave the MCP PCAP there, right? So agent is making that smart determination of its own that I need something else, or I have something else to look at. So the DevOps agent never knows about the PCAP by default.
So, so,
Once,
so
yeah,
Tom, so Tom, when we added the capabilities, Salman added the MCP server. So now what it does that DevOps agent, whenever any issue happen, it tries to see what all capabilities I have to use to investigate this problem. So it identified, okay, MCP server is there. So that MCP server has certain tools within that which it can leverage. So it start using, because other native tools is not helping to identify. That's why they start using those tools. Okay, from that MCP server, these are the 5 or 4 tools I can use to fetch this data.
Yeah.
And
I get
that,
the tooling integration and being able to like parse
Mhm.
PCAPs. What I'm not fully connecting is it sounds like the PCAP is running on the EC2 instance the whole time. So regardless if you're
Mhm.
making the breaking the thing, there's a PCAP that's running and it's uploading to S3. Say I
Right.
have 1,000 EC2 instances, not one.
Mhm.
Right. Are you identifying the PCAPs in a specific way for the agent to be able to understand that this is the PCAP belonging to a particular instance? Because, just the fact that it sees a PCAP, how does it know that it's for that EC2 instance that I'm doing troubleshooting for and not
Um,
for, 1,000 other instances? Or is it just more because it's a smaller demo environment that's easier to set up? Because I'm trying to like extrapolate that to a much
I
more
understand.
complicated environment.
Yeah, I understand. That we need to check. I think for this one, we just have one EC2 instance. I agree with you
yeah,
that if we have multiple, then how it correlate that for which EC2 instance this information is, right?
Yeah, so I guess
yeah.
you need to give it some info about like if there's an alarm maybe in the alarm have like or some naming convention of the pickup files that it could be able to parse. Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
need to double check on that, Tom. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
What
it's
what
cool
what my
that it
thought?
actually can
yeah,
parse pickups. It's just that correlation.
correlation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think once if it just has a generic PCAP with bunch of different EC2 instances dumping in the same location, we will have to check. But my understanding so far is it can pull the IP addresses out, because I'll show you within the PCAP. The PCAP tool gives it access to a lot of different tools. Right, first it does S3 listing. Uh, So it found the S3 bucket, and it does these specific tool calls. So I'm assuming that it can, with multiple PCAPs coming from multiple locations, can determine which PCAP helps it. But yeah, that's something we would have to test.
Yep.
Got it. Because it would be also interesting, like, I feel like running pickups for all of your instances all the time is probably a rough
Yeah.
idea. Uh, but if you could have the agent, even if it's traffic mirroring, maybe that would be something interesting to like run ad
Mhm.
hoc, have the agent be able to. But I guess if it's only doing the scribe calls, it wouldn't be able to initiate a traffic mirroring for this
Right.
scenario, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
but it's cool that it can the parsing. I think that's super amazing that you can actually
right.
parse a pickup file and get insights from that.
Yep. Yeah. So let me continue. So it's analyzing the TLS handshake. So all of these details it's pulling. It's interesting finding so far. I can see TLS handshake is likely, and yeah, so it's making sense of the details it's pulling, and then it continues to use, because it had like 29 or so some tools. It kind of keeps looking at all of them and kind of making up all of these details. um, let's go down. So it's building a whole story around a thing. let's see what it had. There is existing connection.
Some interesting stuff that it's finding as well outside of what the.
Yep. So
Interesting. Looked like it this time it didn't spot that there was a certificate issue.
yeah, I think it didn't last long enough. So yeah, so it didn't. The root cause of the outbound is likely occurred after the capture was taken. So I don't think the root cause will give us more details. Let's see. So at least it knows that we did this. You see?
It caught you poisoning the DNS.
Yeah. So that's coming back to the concept of it knowing your intent. So it's capturing. Some of the demo uses an SSM tools to run commands, and some of it uses your activities logged using CloudTrail. So it kind of understands what you're trying to do. And besides this use case, I wanted to, if you have time,
before you jump, because that's super interesting. That's something that you touched on here. The fact that I can, the agent can see the fact that there was a change made on the operating system, right? Is this because you use SSM to make the change? Is that what you're saying, Salman?
Yeah. So if you pass a specific SSM command, it's getting tracked in CloudTrail. So it can use that to understand what kind of command you were running on the operating system.
Yeah, that's super interesting, because if you were to like make sure that any changes you ever make are going through SSM, all of a sudden you have expanded the capability to not just analyzing AWS calls, but also everything that's happening on your OS.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah. So there are other things that you can look at besides some of the key findings. It kind of gives you more details. It also identifies any investigation gaps where you can kind of enable more logging or more alerting that could have helped the DevOps agent. So you can kind of continuously improve its investigations capability for your specific environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've used it a bunch of times already in my own accounts, and it's I was surprised that it was managing to pull out things that would take me forever to like figure out, and it's usually something small that you missed somewhere in a huge deployment, and so it's so nice to like have it go through it and then just give you here is the things that go wrong. And I did compare it against because I run different agents locally on my machine with access to my account. And what I found is they were struggling to get the same level of details and actually weren't giving me the right information. And I was like, at that point, I think I started using the DevOps agent because I wasn't getting anywhere with my own local agents, and I run different ones locally. So then I went to DevOps, and it found the problem, no issue straight away. So I was like, okay, I think I need to start relying on DevOps agent more, or somehow connect my local agents to talk to DevOps agents to have it do all the heavy lifting. We do have an extra question here from Twinkle Sapra. Does it have the capability of troubleshooting any kind of AWS service, or only limited to DevOps platform? I guess it's a fair question considering the naming convention.
Yeah, no, any AWS service you can investigate. It can help you.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Salman.
Yeah, I think Ankush, you tested it, right, with multiple accounts connected through a transit gateway, and an issue occurred, and a DevOps agent had access to both of those accounts. So it did an investigation. So yeah, it is doing network troubleshooting for you, even though it's more complex than the scenarios that we even show you here.
Right.
Yeah.
And that same one we covered in one of our blog as well earlier, where we have the complex scenario. And just right before this call, I gave a demo to one of the customer, Tom, where we have the Azure setup. We're breaking the application in Azure, and DevOps agent was finding it and telling that what going on in the Azure environment for that particular issue. And even with the on-prem as well, you can connect it through your telemetry data and do the investigation.
Yeah,
Cool.
I feel like the naming convention calling it the DevOps agent, we might be actually making it a little bit more confusing because it's so broad, and I've used it for as well for so many different use cases.
Mhm.
Maybe
Right.
just an ops agent would have been a little bit clearer because I feel like the DevOps immediately thinks, oh, is it just the DevOps services? So
Right, right.
Since it has access to all the APIs, sometimes people have asked cost-related questions too, because they can
Yep.
go and read that. So one thing I wanted to also mention that DevOps agent by default does not have access to your S3. I think we didn't mention that earlier, right? So your things like the bucket, it doesn't have access by default. So I have to give it two different permissions for it to go and read those. By default, it won't. So if I store flow logs in S3, for example, so CloudWatch logs and CloudWatch it can read, but not the things
Yes.
inside of an S3 bucket. So in scenario 5, the backend real quick. So the backend becomes unhealthy and starts giving 502. So there is ELB access logs stored inside of a S3 bucket. But in our investigation, I'll show you, it was enough for the DevOps agent to identify the issue without even going inside of the ELB access logs because it was able to see my actions in CloudTrail, right? It can pick those things up and kind of correlate with what had happened. But then you can also use skills or have a chat window steer the conversation. So let me find where I did that real quick. So I steered it and said, hey, we have ELB access logs. Can you go and check those too? So it's now understands again, I can go to ELB access logs and it starts going through the S3 bucket and looking at my ELB access logs too. So with that enablement, you are able to give it more access to things. And then if you can write skills like whenever there's an ELB related issue, always refer to my logs as well. So you don't make assumptions or make things up like hallucination. It typically doesn't hallucinate. It either will give you the details from the fact it's collecting. So it's not, it will only stick to those things it's pulling, right? So I feel like, I don't think, Ankush, you have seen any hallucination. Like, I don't see it.
No.
I guess if you start asking it design questions, right, there's a potential there. But if you're
Yeah.
purely using it for troubleshooting, you're just using the data that it has, so there's not
Right.
much there to make up. But if I start asking it, oh, which way should I design something, I guess there's a potential there for it not being able to
True.
get all the answers correct. Awesome. Okay, I know we only have 2 minutes, so we're probably going to have to start closing off. But
Yeah.
this was great. Thank you guys for coming on and sharing this. I really like your demo environment. It's a shame we weren't able to even go through all the use cases. It probably will take
Yeah.
like another hour and a half to probably touch on all of them and give
We're,
them justice. But this is
we're-
great.
yeah, we're planning to publish in GitHub this demo environment so you can play around with it in your own account, and probably expose it as a workshop so you can have your account team run it for you.
Yeah, and Tom, I have some links to share. So if you want to, so these are some of the blogs and the workshop. If anyone want to try it out, they can do that.
Yeah. Perfect. I see people popping in the chat saying we need part 2. So that's
Yeah, for sure.
totally feasible. We can try and do part 2 with some of the other examples
Yep.
in the that you had in there.
Yeah. Again, this was networking focused, but again, you can do EKS troubleshooting, ECS, all the AWS services. You can use this for.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for joining. And we'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.